All right, welcome everyone to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. Few things came in. We'll see where they go. There's a question. There's a question that came in, and that is that if a person's having difficulty spiritually, right? Spiritual things. And either they get burnt out or they get in a rut, right? In other words, they do negative things, right? Let's say. And by doing negative things, they're just in a bad way. And they continue to do the wrong thing. Maybe they're in this process of conversion or they become religious and whatever, they get burnt out. It's hard. It's, learning Hebrew is hard and dealing with family is hard. And, maybe a person's got livelihood issues, health issues, maybe it's just one thing after another, right? Could be all these things combined. Yeah, probably got all these things combined. So what do? How do you get out of this rut? This, negative behavior that seems to happen a lot. Right? So the first thing a person has to realize is what does the evil inclination want? Evil inclination, Mr. S, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him, right? Well, what does he want? What does he want? So he wants a person to give up hope in their spiritual endeavor. Wants to make life really hard for them, make it almost impossible for them, test them in many different ways, which are going to be very, very hard. So the person wakes up and he's like, I don't feel like praying today. Or someone mentioned to me last week, someone's been religious their whole lives, right? And this 14, 15-year-old says, I don't want to go to yeshiva today. I don't want to learn today. Right, in this cream puff generation. So what do? Each generation has their evil inclination, whatever it may be. Right? The 1900s, what was it? It was communism. It was atheism. It was socialism, democracy. So every generation has it. Things that for that generation are hard and that are challenging. I think the evil inclination has it very easy today. Yeah, they don't really have to work that hard. But in general, each generation has its own thing. Okay. So person been in this process however long. They've been working on their own. They've been trying. They just, whenever they wake up, they have a bad day. They just want to veg. They just want to chill. They want to sit back, watch a movie, play video games, do other things. These things are tempting. Not going to say they're not tempting. They're fun. You use your mind. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think. You don't think about the repercussions for your actions. Very easy. But what happens if you give in too much? Right? It's not a question. Right? It's not a question. Okay, you had one bad day. Let's say this goes on. Couple days, a week. Person get burnt out. Person gets burnt out. So what do? So it's hard. It's very hard because other things are much more tempting, much more fun. And the more you feed into it, the worse it is. That's just the nature of the evil inclination. That's what it is. And the more you feed it, makes it a lot more difficult. A lot more difficult to fight. So the first thing is the person has to realize it doesn't mean you're evil. It doesn't mean you're evil over here. Right? So it depends over here. It depends what's going on. Person can use it as a crutch. Right? A person can use it as a crutch and say, what can I do? I need to veg. That's this generation. They want it easy. Using your mind a good part of the day is hard. So I tell people, okay, one way out of it is learn less. Don't do it so intense. Learn things that you really enjoy to learn. Not just things you're obligated to learn. Right? Those things will be easier because you want to do it. You'll be interested in doing it. But a person has to realize, we said at the beginning, person has to realize this is normal. Person will have up days, down days. Person will be really inspired one day, maybe for a few days, and then not be so inspired. There are things we can learn not so inspiring. Yeah, a person may think, it's a grind. And I have to do it anyway, and whatever. So for non-Jews, it's easier. It's easier because you don't have obligation to learn like we do. Right? No hide laws, you have to learn, true. But, there are details you have to learn. But, it would be very easy to say, yeah, okay, I learned them in depth. I know what's going on. I know I have to fight against. Okay. That doesn't give them license to do whatever they want. Right? Make no mistake. Just because a person may have fewer mitzvahs to do, doesn't mean they can do what they want. But what it means over here is, yeah, a person may have to take a break. There are things we learn, they're intense. 100%. So sometimes the person will say, yeah, I want it to be intense. I want it all, but it's hard. It's taxing on the brain. Not only is it taxing on the brain, but we fail a lot of times. We don't get the Hebrew word right. We don't pronounce it right. Our mind wanders. This is exactly what the evil inclination wants. The evil inclination wants to break a person down. Wants to make them feel like a piece of dirt. See, you never get it right. The Jews don't want you. Non-Jews don't want you. Family doesn't want you. You spoke Lashon Hara. You heard people curse. You didn't say anything. Right? A lot of different things. A lot of different things. But this is what the Yetzer Hara wants. The Yetzer Hara wants to beat a person down. I'm not saying you blow it off. You can't blow it off. You got to take stock of what you're doing. Right? That's for sure. And if a person prays and their mind wanders, that's bad. But okay. It's something you got to work on. But people are very quick to throw in the towel. People are very quick to say, I can't do it. It's too hard. That's it. Others will say, no, I'm going to go through this process. I am going to do it. I am going to finish, but I'm in a bad state. I'm in a rut. I keep doing the same bad things over and over again. Okay, so how are you going to stop? How are you going to stop? The evil inclination doesn't stop over here. Person's older, still has an evil inclination. Person can be a Torah giant, still have an evil inclination. So some people will say, I love fire and brimstone. I like feeling like a piece of dirt. Yeah, okay. That's going to motivate a person. Other people to break them. Now, we're not going to put it under the rug here. We're not going to say, well, we're going to make a person feel good. And everything's easy and don't worry. And no, we should be worried. Should be worried if our mind wanders. Should be worried if I'm doing the same stupid thing over and over again. Should be worried about that. That could mean my free will taken away. But the question of what's behind what the person's doing, why are they in this bad state? So let's flip the question. Let's say instead of saying, why am I in a bad state? How can I live inspired? How can I constantly live inspired? So I'm going to tell you the hardest part. The hardest part is it has to come from you. Isn't that nice? It's got to come from within. Person has to have that spark they want to learn. They don't want to be mediocre. They want to have knowledge. They want to know why. They want to put it into action. But you know what? You got to fight. You got to want it more than anything else. So Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, Shem Yikam Damo, God should avenge his blood, famous student of Chofetz Chaim, one of the Torah giants of the last generation, head of the yeshiva in Baranovich, claimed on himself, I'm just saying what he said about himself. He claimed he only had average intelligence. Average intelligence. So they asked him, if you only had average intelligence, how'd you become who you became? How'd you become so great, a disciple of the Chofetz Chaim? And his answer was constant learning. What we call hasmada, constant learning. Around the clock. So I'll say it in our language. He wanted it more than other people. Because if a person only has average intelligence, what can you accomplish? What do you think you can accomplish? Okay, you know things here, you know things there. You know certain information, but the depth, what about the depth? What about putting things together and all kinds of things? You may not get that. You don't have average intelligence. Yeah, but God can open up fountains of knowledge. Let's see, what does King Solomon say? What does King Solomon say? King Solomon says you got to want Torah like you want rubies and diamonds. You got to want it more than anything else. Person wants to be the best athlete. Okay, it helps taking steroids. Bad example. Yeah. You want to be the best gymnast, best athlete. What do? You got to train. And you got to train a lot. And you got to work hard. You got to watch your diet. You have to have mental toughness when the chips are down. You got to work hard. There are athletes out there gifted with talents. God-given talent, no question. But if you don't utilize the talent the right way, waste it. You'll never become what you want to become. Why not? Because you don't use it the right way. So even if a person would have, and again, this is good for all of us, but even if a person would have average intelligence, there's hope. It's not about the smartest brain, the highest IQ that makes someone a Torah giant. It helps. Having a photographic memory helps. Having genius helps. But I've seen in my own life, if you want it bad enough, God opens doors. He'll open doors. but you have to want it. It doesn't mean the Yetzer Hara dies. Doesn't mean that at all. You want to strive for something big? Don't think the evil inclination is going to sit there and roll over and die. He's going to make it a lot more difficult. Put all kinds of things in your path to make it hard. That's what he's going to do. So the real question here is not how do I get, how do I get out of this bad situation? How do I get out of this rut? That's not the question. You might be in a rut, in a bad situation, okay? But the question is, how do I live inspired? How do I get to the real question really is, subset question number 4 is, how do I keep that fire lit within myself? See, I'll tell you the difference, and people may laugh at this. I'll tell you the difference between the source of the soul of a Jew and a non-Jew. There are non-Jews out there. No offense to any non-Jews listening. There are non-Jews out there, and they'll be happy being vice president of a company. They work themselves up, they work themselves up the ladder, blah, blah, blah. They're happy being vice president. In general. What's the Jew going to say? Jew's going to say, why aren't I president? Not going to be happy. He wants more. I'm not saying, all non-Jews only want to, happy where they are. No, plenty of them driven. That they want to be the best. Yeah, Vince Lombardi. He remembers Vince Lombardi, right? Famous coach, Green Bay Packers. One of the things Vince Lombardi said was, I always hated finishing second. Now think about it. How many teams are in the NFL? We'll take 27, 28. Yeah. So you finished the 99% rank. Okay, you didn't make it to 100. But he said there's nothing worse. He said there's nothing worse than finishing second. Nothing worse. But you finished better than everyone else. But you finished better than everyone else. That wasn't good enough. Right? Anyone who's ever been to a championship game and the team loses, they're not happy they finished second. Some teams will be happy they got there. They weren't expecting to win. Okay, so that's how they console themselves. Other people will say, no, we were supposed to win, we didn't win. Whether they choked or they didn't choke, whatever it is, they didn't win. So explain to them what it means to finish second. Because really, they should have finished first. They should have finished first. But they didn't. Comes along Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi says, I always hated finishing second. But he made the championship a number of times. Okay. There are times you didn't win. Okay. But to finish second, right? Let's say there are 28 teams. Right? Let's say there are 28 teams. 28 teams. Right? Sorry, here, 1 second. You finished 27 out of 28. 96.4. 96.4%, you finished better than everyone else. What's someone going to say? But I win the game. I lost the game. Yeah. So there's a number of things here. One is, person they get in a rut. They don't feel inspired. There are a lot of things they don't know. There's confusion. When should I do this? When should I do that? When should I do the other thing? There are a lot of things to know. Okay, it's frustration. Okay? That's normal. Person got to cut themselves a little bit of slack. You're not going to know everything in one shot. It takes time. We mentioned this many times. It doesn't come all at once. It's not supposed to come all at once. Take step by step. And there are a lot of steps in between. So there's a lot a person has to know and has to gain, okay? But the evil inclination is going to run you wild. The evil inclination is going to beat you down. Say you can't, you're not going to doing this, you're not going to doing that, and you got other issues. Or you think you know better. There are people out there who think they know better. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'll do the other thing. You don't reinvent the wheel. Bottom line, you got to live inspired. Not easy. Ramchal says, path of the just. We're here to toil. We're here to struggle. Not going to be easy. But the inclination wants to make it impossible. That's why I always say, someone who wants to be religious today, it's hard. Almost impossible with what's going on in the world. Just everything outside. But there's another issue here. It's not just the person gets in a bad situation and a rut. Yeah, and Kaufman says you got to live inspired. That's also true. There's another factor. The other factor is distraction. And a person can get distracted. They can think this is best for them. This is what they want to do. Okay? May not be. It may be the evil inclination. Say, okay, I'm going to give you this. I'll let you be inspired in this. I'm going to put you off to the side. And what's going to happen? A person may think it's the right thing. And they say, this is what I want to do, and this and that. They believe deep down in their heart, but really it's not. So a person will ask, how do I know? How do I know it's the right thing or not? So that you need guidance. Person needs proper guidance. Someone who's unbiased. But they have to listen. It's not an easy thing to do. People have their minds set up in different ways. Why should I listen? There are plenty of people out there who think they know better. Okay. But they'll make mistakes. Serious mistakes. And they'll waste more time. Right? So that's when you have to get advice. That's when you have to ask, am I barking up the wrong tree or not? Right? Is this a good path for me now? But the person can be convinced themselves also. And think this is 100%. This is the best thing for me right now. But really, it's a curve. Really, the evil inclination is playing with you. It might not be a bad thing. I'm not saying 100% it is. Yeah, but it might not be for now. It might be for later. But people don't want to say that. People want to do what they want to do. I promise everyone, you do what you want to do, you'll fail. You'll fail in different ways, unless you have proper guidance. Because the heart is drawn in many different ways. Many different ways. And it could be 100%, that's what they believe and that's what they think and all that. Very good, but not good for them. Right now, it's not good for them. Right? Something I wanted to do years ago, maybe stopped me, cold turkey. Cold turkey, cut my dream down in 3 seconds. And he said, if you have money, you can sit and learn. You enjoy learning. Learn everything. Do not go out like one of these Mickey Mouse rabbis that are out there. Learn. Go through as much as you possibly can. And do it right. And he was right. Even though my ego of egos, I would have said I could have started a community and done things and would have been successful in my own ego, my own bubble. Yeah. It's not the same today. Not even close. Knowledge is different. Vastly different. It took a long time to learn a lot of things and get experience and whatever. It's not overnight. But see, I still had this itch. I still had this itch to want to teach or whatever when I was much younger. So I said, fine, do it a few nights a week. But during the days you're sitting and learning. Don't get carried away. He said, I promise you, you want to go out, you go out like fire. But don't go out too soon. Don't cut your nose to spite your face. Even if you have the knowledge. And it's not about money. It's not about, it's not about making a living. If you have the ability, get the knowledge. Yeah, but I could do this, I could do that, I could do other things. True. That may be true. But who says that's your purpose right now? So I've been thinking about doing this since I was 15 years old. Even younger. I looked at him straight in the face, not knowing really who he was and what his stature was. And he was one of the Torah giants even 30 years ago. Yeah, I looked at him in the face. I said, you just killed my dream. You just killed my dream overnight. Like in less than 30 seconds. So I got the chutzpah to say, if I'm going to listen, you're going to be the one to teach me. That's how I got my foot in the door. Chutzpah. And it worked. I don't know why I said it. Maybe just out of aggravation, maybe. So I said, you're going to be the one to teach me, and I'm not taking no for an answer. He said, bli neder. I said, okay, without a vow. So I kept calling him, making up questions and different things, and this and that, until I got what I wanted. And I worked with him, for 3-4 months. Just him and I, in his back room. I mean, I shouldn't say I learned with him. He taught, I listened. Recorder going. Learning Sefer Mitzvah the Rambam for about 4 months. So his oldest son told me, he said, I never, ever, ever saw my father do such a thing. Learn with somebody one-on-one. So I told him, brush up on your English, you learn something. That's how I got my foot in the door. Then I started walking around his neighborhood and, once a week because of his varicose veins. And, then I started, taking him to the rabbinical court and whatever. That's how it started. Why he let me in? I can't answer, but I did ask him, did he have regret when I was going to South America? Did he have regret letting me in? He had a big smile and he said, listen, I'm still in a good mood. You don't want to break the mood. I said, yeah, but I'm not gonna leave without an answer. So he gave me a blessing and told me, showed me the door. Yeah, why do I mention this? Bragging. Now, because if you want something so bad, like I said, I was stubborn. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I kept pestering him, and he gave in. Why? Can't answer. Probably regrets it till this day. Okay. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I laid myself down. I said, okay, you're the one in charge. You're the one calling the shots here. I'm going to go to you for my advice. Whatever you say, that's what I'm going to do. And he was right. But deep down, in a certain way, I was going out of my mind. Why? Because I felt I had all this other potential. Not that sitting and learning is nothing to sneeze at. But sometimes you don't feel like you're accomplishing. Sometimes you're just, okay, it's another page. Other commentaries, other things, this, that. Maybe you don't feel like you're accomplishing. So what happened? So I wanted to get this out of my system. Let me show what I can do. Let me try. So I said, fine. You want to do it once a week, twice a week. And that's how it started. But as much as his head is in the clouds, his feet are firmly grounded on this earth. So he said, and again, he was right. And he said, go out with world-class knowledge. You got an opportunity, sit. But the evil inclination's knocking on the door. The evil inclination saying, okay, you went through another page, another tractate, very good. You're learning this, you're learning that, getting advice, sitting with the based in this, that, a bunch of perks. Okay. I still had the fire inside and saying, this is really what I want to do. But he said everything at its proper time. Mentioned this last week by Avori Zohar, blessed memory. Probably the most famous Baal Tshuva returning to Judaism. Famous Israeli actor, He hid himself away for years, before he joined a certain organization, to do outreach and all that. And even then he didn't want to do it, but the great rabbis' generation told him, okay, now it's time. Now it's time for you, to give back. But he himself didn't want to. He didn't want to be part of that world anymore. They sort of forced his hand. They said, we get all this talent, get all these connections. Go now, use it for good. Didn't mean he stopped learning. And towards the end of his life, he did it less and less, and he was learning more. What's the point? The point is, the person might have that desire, real strong desire inside, and it may be all legitimate, not saying not. There's a time to use it. And there's a time to put it aside. Look at it like a project, over time, but get the real knowledge. See, that's the way a person can get distracted very easily for the right thing. I'm not saying for the wrong thing. You want to use it for the right thing. That's the bottom line. Because if not, what could happen? You'll say, I'm fine, I'll go out now. I'll do minimal what I have to do over here. And I'll do these other things that not only going to give me more enjoyment, but I can help others and all that. Very good. What's the problem? What's the problem? The Aisha Torah is famous for making Baalei Tshuva, for bringing people back to Judaism, who are Jews, having them learn for a number of years, and then go out, save the world. Go out and do outreach. Very good. But at the same time, they could be stunting their spiritual growth. Could they be successful, get all the tools to bring other people closer? Yes. You don't need years and years of experience for that. That a person can be taught. But it may stunt their growth in the process. So it's a knock against them. I have a lot of gratitude, for Aisha Torah and what it's done and what it continues to do. But there's a knock. There's a knock against it. And that is sending people out before they're ready. And anyway, people aren't going to be able to sit and learn long term anyway, just because financially it doesn't work out a lot of times. But at the same time, even if they have a strong desire to want to go out and save the world and this and that, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared, to a certain extent. And you can't stunt your own growth in the process. You have to be learning yourself. And I remember when, I was involved in real estate, people knew. They couldn't get a hold of me till 11:30 in the morning. I don't care what it was. My phone was off, couldn't get me. Yeah, you need time for personal growth. Anyone in the process of conversion or Noahide, whatever, they have to get the requisite knowledge first. Can't get sidetracked. Very easy to get sidetracked. Very, very easy. And it's not for bad things, for good things. But if you don't, you have to be selfish here. Because if you don't look to it, for yourself, you're going to get burned. You will get burned. Because you don't have best of both worlds. You're either a lot in one world or the other. And it doesn't normally go that way. Yeah, someone is not teaching something they don't know. Don't we learn also when we help others? You do learn. That's not the question. The question is the requisite knowledge the person themselves know. Some people will say, and I disagree, 100% disagree. That is, even if someone knows something basic, they can go teach others. Yeah, they might not have world-class knowledge, but they can always teach others. They can always give over something they heard, this, that, okay. Yeah. I don't think that's a person's focus. And I see it all the time. I see people making videos that can't pronounce Hebrew properly. Why are you making videos? I don't care. You want to comment, people are heretics, this, that, whatever. Who cares? totally irrelevant. That's not your job right now. Your job is probably learn Hebrew. You want to convert, very good. Learn. Sit and learn. Don't waste your time doing this. You want to do it 20 minutes a day, I'll give you 20 minutes. Half an hour maximum. Maximum. Why? Because people get carried away. Got to answer this one, got to answer that one, got to answer 3 other people, 20 other people, and then how much time they have for themselves. Because I got all day. I got 4 or 5 hours. Okay. So if you tell me you're putting 4.5 hours into things you need to do for yourself, good. You want to use the other half an hour, also good. Yeah, but if you're spending 2.5 hours and 2.5 hours, that's not good. That's not your job now. Now, again, for some people, it's going to be very hard to hear, because they want to help others. They want to give over. You are learning. That's true. And even if they ask you something you can't answer, it's also learning. It's also a learning process. And I'm talking from experience, what happened to me. I was going out of my mind. Out of my mind. I said, I have ability. Let me use it. Let me go use it. Well, people make the mistake and they go, I'm just sitting and learning. You're not really accomplishing. It's also not true. Holding up the world. Who cares? You have a position. You don't have a position. That doesn't matter. You're really holding up the world. So your learning has to be more focused. That's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, but if a person sees they have talents and they can help others, doesn't that come first? No. It doesn't come first. Because you're shortchanging yourself at the same time. Doesn't mean a person can't do here and there, whatever. You are helping yourself. You do learn by helping others. That's true. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where the focus is. And the focus for a lot of people is in the wrong place. It's like 80-20. 80% helping others, 20% doing for yourself. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You feel good about yourself. You feel you're helping others, okay. But you're shortchanging yourself in the process. I'm saying I had the same thing. But I got grounded. Not just from my Rebbe, from others also. There'll be time. You'll have time to do as much as you want. That's not the time now. The time now is you have the ability to focus. You have the ability to learn, and learn exponentially. That's true. Because you don't always get it back. You're not just going to go semi-retirement after doing all these other things, then focus mainly on learning and not doing that, then you're not going to do that. Because when a person has the opportunity, they have to take the opportunity. Otherwise, I'm not going to say they lose it 100%, but they don't become who they need to become. Again, person wants to do it on the side, they want to help others, very good. Nothing wrong with it. It's a huge benefit. Huge benefit. But that's not the essence of what we're supposed to be doing. Right? Not at the moment. The focus someone in conversion for sure has to be on conversion. That has to be the focus. If they're not going to convert, okay. That's also their choice. But as I have an obligation to learn what they need to learn and to perfect other things as well. Some people say, I'm better off not converting. I can do other things. True. Other things that Jews can't do. That's probably true. Question is, I just showed someone pointed out last week. The Gemara in Yevamos 48b. That says if a non-Jew has the potential to convert, they don't, they get punished. Now the question is, what does that mean? How far does that go? What does it mean they have the ability to convert and they don't? Nobody says they have to convert. Right? So we brought down the Kli Yakar a few weeks back. Kli Yakar says God knows what's in a person's heart. God knows if the person should have converted or not. And if he thinks you should have converted and you didn't, but you thought you had the best reason and God thought otherwise, you're in trouble. But that's catch-22. No one's supposed to convert. We're not interested in converts, true. But if someone could have and they didn't, and they don't have a good reason why they didn't, then that's a problem. Right? It's definitely an issue. But the point is this is a world of distraction, and a person can get distracting for good things. Even for good things. People want to do chesed, acts of loving kindness. They want to help others. Good. There's nothing wrong with that. There has to be a balance. I see a lot of times people are unbalanced. It's either one way or the other. Yeah. Either the person doesn't do chesed at all. They're just into themselves and learning and whatever. Or you see the opposite. People like really into helping others, but they don't learn. So there has to be a balance. The person has to find the balance. It's not one or the other. The person needs both. But it's the point here is that it's very, very easy to get distracted. Very easy. Even if we think we're doing the right thing and we're using our strengths, and this is how I use my strengths. Yeah. I also thought that. These are where my strengths lie. Let me use them. And then when I lost everything, I couldn't do it. I had to do other things. Bothered me to no end. The fact that, a person has strengths and they're successful with these strengths, and then God just takes it away. So what's pshat? What's going on over here? So the answer I got, which I didn't like to hear, I definitely didn't want to hear, was, it's not your time now. You have to focus on other things. It's a hard thing to hear. Why? Because if you saw success, or let's say better, if you didn't have success, you never saw success, whatever the case is, okay? So you're not cut out for it. You gave it your best shot, didn't go. But if a person tasted it, and they saw this is where their strengths lie, why did it get taken away? Why can't it be used in that way? So one answer is, because God doesn't want you to use it now. He doesn't want you to focus on that. He wants you to focus on other things. My question was, why? I didn't have an answer. I still don't have an answer. Yeah, but for that amount of time, whatever it was, that's what he wanted. My hand was forced. I had no choice. That's frustrating. 100%, that's frustrating. But sometimes we have to focus on other things in order to build ourselves up in other ways. Even if we don't think so. Right? What's the obvious question? The obvious question is, a person has certain talents, and they have a lot of talent in a certain thing, and now their hands are tied behind their back and they can't use it. So then they question and say, so why was I given this talent in the first place? What was the point? Other people can do it. Why can't you do it? Could be any number of reasons. Yeah. But it's frustrating. That didn't stop me from learning every day. That didn't stop me from other things. But the focus had to be in a different way. Very hard pill to swallow. Extremely hard pill to swallow. But the idea is, okay, you want to go in a certain path, very good. God wants you to stay on the path. He doesn't want you to veer to the right or to the left. He wants you to do what you need to do. And again, a lot of times the person's going to think, I know what's better, and everybody, needs to hash it out with someone. The mentor, with the rabbi, somebody. Again, we see things through our own eyes. That's why we learn with the study partner, because you think a certain way. Not everyone thinks the same way you do. Most people don't. So you're hashing out ideas, things you wouldn't have necessarily thought of. Per se, that someone else can bring something to light that you wouldn't have thought of, and it helps you understand something in a different way. That's good. I mean, if you're willing to hear it. Some people get really stuck on what their ideas are, what their goals are, and they do what they want. and a lot of times they wasted time. I'm not going to say the whole thing is a waste of time. But it's easy. The point is, it's easy to get distracted. That's the point. That is definitely the point over here. Yeah, a few other things I want to see, but there are a lot of questions here. So let me deal with these questions. Yeah, prayer we spoke about. Someone here mentions if the inclination is strong before conversion can't imagine how strong it is afterwards. Yeah, right now it's easy. People have it easy. Why do I say people have it easy before conversion? Because you're not obligated to do anything. You're not obligated to keep kosher. You're not obligated to make blessings. You're not obligated to anything. If you want to do some of it or whatever, but you're not obligated. The evil inclination comes much stronger once I have an obligation now. You want to get up and pray. You don't want to get up and pray. You don't feel like praying, let's say one day or whatever. Or come Shabbos, you just, you're not into it. You want to do other things. Okay. There's no obligation. But once you have the obligation, that's a whole different thing. Yeah. Once a person's obligated, to pray 3 times a day for a guy or twice for women to keep kosher, and do exactly what they need to do as the Torah says, that's a much different thing. It's a much, much different thing. Why? Because now you're obligated. If you're not obligated, it's very easy in many ways. I come, I go, I do this, I do that. I don't have to answer. As long as I keep what I need to keep along the Noahide laws, that's fine. Yeah, I can learn when I want, if I want to, I don't want to, moral imperative, not moral imperative, doesn't matter. Right? That point doesn't matter in many things. But when it comes to doing what I'm obligated to do, then everyone's got questions. Everyone's going to have questions. I don't want to do this. Why do I have to pray at a fixed time? Why do I have to say the same prayers? Why do I have to eat this? And why do I have to wait 6 hours? And this doesn't make sense. And why should I do it? That's when it all comes up. It comes up in between also. But once a person has an obligation to do it, it's a whole different ballgame. Then it's not about, well, I feel like doing it, this, that. No. Then if you're a guy, you got three times a day, you got to get to synagogue to pray. I don't care. It doesn't matter what your job is, this, that. You got to work it out. If you can't work it out, fine. You got to pray on your own. Yeah, but you're really going to pray with 10 men. And you got to get up early and whatever. And even the place you go, the closest place, they say a mile a minute. So a person's going to work with it somehow. A person will say, it's better to pray in that place or pray by myself. It depends. But once you have obligations, it's a whole different thing. It's not about limitations, it's not about this is what I have to do. Shavuot's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's a 3-day holiday starting Thursday night to Friday, Friday night to Shabbos. You got to prepare. You got to make meals. Yeah, you got to know what you're doing. What do I do on Erev Tavshilin? How am I allowed to cook for Shabbos? How does it all work? You got to know what to do, bottom line. And you got to work it out. You have to get to synagogue. There's a lot of things to work out. Not about it. I feel like it. I'm not in the mood. It doesn't matter. The holiday comes, you got to do it. You got to keep it. Right now, it's easy. Because you don't have any obligations. So it's very easy just to be lazy. It's like, yeah, I'll go through it. I'll do a little bit. Okay, everyone at their level. That's not the point. Point is, once you have the obligation, you have the obligation. It doesn't change. And the person's going to get punished if you don't do what you're supposed to do. You'll get punished. Right? It's not a 5-year option to renew. It's for real. Now I have to be extremely careful with so many things. Right? Very easy to say right now, well, I don't have the obligation. You're right. Very easy to say. I don't have the obligation. Very good. So I don't have to do this now, right? You don't have to do whatever if you don't want to. Right? It's no obligation to convert. But once a person's gone to the mikveh and the conversion's a proper conversion, there's no way out over here. You're not allowed to desecrate Shabbos because of lack of knowledge. You're not going to rabbinical court without the requisite knowledge. Because it's only going to be bad for you, even if they do convert you. They're not expecting you to know everything, but you have to know basics. How's the hot plate work? Can I turn the gas up a little bit on a festival or not? What if something's burning? I want to use soup Friday night. I take it off the hot plate. Can I put it back on? What are the conditions? Are there conditions? These are things you have to know, even if the rabbinical court doesn't ask you. You have to know. So right now it's very good. You make mistakes, this, that, okay. Or you feel like doing it more, less, whatever, okay. Once it's for real, you better darn well know what you're doing. Because then the commitment's real. Then I got all the obligations. So it's a much more scary proposition. So you say, let me take 5 years, let me take 10 years. Okay. Yeah. I don't think a person wants to put it off. You got to, the less frequency a person does, whether it's a Jew or JIT or whatever, the harder it's going to be. I'm not saying you take it all on at once. There's a lot of knowledge. Right? Someone asked me about yesterday or Sunday about the laws of whatever in general, a good book for Jewish law. For halacha. So I recommended the Book of Our Heritage by Rabbi Eliyahu Kito. The Book of Our Heritage speaks about all the holidays and why you do what you do during the holidays on Shabbos. Yeah, all the background. Why we do what we do. So again, some things resonate more, some things resonate less. Someone who wants to convert, this is what you have to do. Someone commented yesterday, someone sent me a text, saying how, I don't know, they feel more comfortable saying I'm on Orthodox setting or, different things. And those of them don't get caught up in labels. Up until 200 years ago, 250 years ago, everybody was Orthodox. There weren't any of these Reform, conservative, whatever. It's a 20th century innovation. The Torah says I have to keep the mitzvahs, period. So you have to know what they are and what you have to do. That's the obligation, but no labels. Either you keep the Torah the way God wants or you don't. Oh, but I'm Reform. I think this. Doesn't matter what you think. According to the Torah, I cannot pick and choose, period. It's not about interpretation. You can't pick and choose. Either you're going to keep it or you're not going to keep it. You want to be a Reformed Jew? Okay, you're not going to be in this form. You want to be a Reformed Jew? That's your choice. Conservative Jew? That's your choice. You want to do it right? You'll do it right. But you have to know. You have to get the knowledge. You have to know why we're doing it. Yeah, there's a lot to know. There's a heck of a lot to know. So after conversion, why do I say it's harder? Why do you say you get the 8th hour later? You get the evil inclination later, one very simple reason, because now you're obligated. Once you're obligated, it's a whole different thing. So people think, oh, it's so hard now. Think about it. Most people are probably doing a hodgepodge. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, okay? Can't take on everything at once. I agree. What are you going to do when it's real? Yeah. Then it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different ballgame. And you're not going to just play around for years and years. Right? You should get the requisite knowledge and convert if you want to convert. If not, not. But once it's after the fact, that's a whole different thing. Right? It's a whole different thing. Life is a battle, daily battle. Totally daily battle. We have ups, we have downs, maybe more downs than ups. Got to live inspired. That was the whole point here. Right? You get caught in a rut, you're doing things, you're just sliding backwards, it's going to spiral. It's going to spiral. The evil inclination doesn't come to a person and say, I want you to do idolatry. Right? As a Jew. You're not going to come and say, I want you to do idolatry, I want you to break Shabbos. It's never going to work. But what does the evil inclination do? Puts a little bit of hole in your armor. Little bit of a hole. And the evil inclination says, I got plenty of time. Say, I'm not going to act on it. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to get stronger. This, that, up and down, up and down. The person's up and down. Evil inclination makes another hole. Makes a third hole. Makes a fourth hole. By the time it makes the 25th hole, you're already doing idolatry. That's the way it works. They can't let the evil inclination in at all. But it's hard. It's a constant battle to the end of your life. Constant battle. Constant battle. You have to live inspired, no matter how difficult it is. Living inspired means learn what you enjoy learning. Continue to learn things that you enjoy learning, even things you don't necessarily like to learn, but you have to learn. But learn things that you really enjoy. That'll give you a spiritual high. The other stuff, you're right, I got to learn Hebrew, and I got to learn Chumash, and I got to learn other things. Yeah, it's hard, it's complex. When to make blessings, when not to make blessings. How does the hot plate work? Shabbos, festivals, this, that. It's hard. There's no question. So you have to have a balance. Everyone's going to be balanced. You can't only learn the things you like, because the other things that you're obligated to do, you're not going to know what to do. At the same time, you got to know what to do. I would say, even for Noahide, so they have less structure. Okay. Yeah, but I think they need more structure. They need to be more focused. They need to be also constantly learning in different ways. So you all just keep the 7 laws. 7 laws, about 65 to 70. And you got to know the details. You got to know the details of what these laws are. But you should learn Jewish philosophy, you should learn Musar, Jewish history, plenty of things to learn. Tanakh, plenty of things to learn to keep a person on the straight and narrow path. But that doesn't mean you're keeping festivals like Jews. That's a totally different thing. Yeah, but you got to live inspired. The less you live inspired, the more you get into bad habits, the worse it is. The more difficult it is to change anything. And then the more you keep doing the same wrong thing, it becomes part of your psyche. I'm not going to say it's impossible to change, but it's going to be very, very hard. Once it's in your bloodstream, it's very hard. It's part of who you are now. See, yeah, but it's just fun. I need to veg. Forget about vegging. You're going to be able to veg after 120 years. You'll be able to sleep as much as you want. Yeah, plenty of things to do in the next world also. But think, this has a negative effect. Watching movies, playing video games is like putting your head and slamming it against the wall. I don't know, I guess that's graphic enough. That's like slamming your head against the wall. So decide if you want to sledge. You can say, okay, Rabbi says I'm slamming my head against the wall. Okay, try it. Next, boom. Did it hurt? Yeah, do it again. It's not going to help you over here. All that does is numb the senses. That's not what you want to do. The more you numb the senses, the harder it is. Right? Anybody knows that. Whatever they have. Whatever they use, to numb it, whether it's food, whether it's drugs, or other things, that's what they do. And in the end, it destroys the person. They don't get to what they want or what they need. Why? Because they're too busy just, numbing things, but not dealing with the problem. So a person will say, yeah, but I really want to go on the right path. So why are you wasting time? Why are you wasting time? Because it's fun. Okay? A lot of things that fun that are detrimental to your spiritual health. Right? So the person will say, how do I get out of it? And the answer is more Torah. That's the only answer. You got to live inspired. And I'm not going to say, think about frying in hell forever, being in the 7th level of hell, and you never get out and all. Forget that. That's not going to inspire people. Some people it might. But the vast majority of people, it's not going to inspire. Yeah, it's not about frying in hell forever. It's not even about the repercussions of my actions per se. What is it? It's about giving my soul what it needs. It's about thinking of, do I want to be close to God or I don't? Because if I do the wrong thing, I take 3 steps backward. Now imagine you got to take 3 steps forward to get to 0. So you're going to be in a detriment for a long time. By the end of the year, you're at minus 150 billion. Yeah, is that going to be possible to draw close? You could. You have to work. But the more you keep doing the same thing over and over again, yeah, I agree. But I keep doing it. Okay, you got to change your mentality. That's not something I give over in 2 minutes. But you have to change your mentality. The mentality is, I believe it's true? Yes. I believe there's reward and punishment? Yes. I believe I can reach high spiritual levels if I want to? Yes. So why are you wasting time? Because it's fun. It's not about intellect. It's not about I see the pit of hell in front of me. It's not about that. It's do I really believe in what it says? You're going to say, but we have an evil inclination. Evil inclination is driving me nuts. Okay. Think about it. King David says, I'm only here for 70 years. If I have strength to 80 years, anything over that's a bonus. So where are we holding? Half our lives gone? More than half our lives gone. So what are we living for? Even for non-Jews. I get this a lot by, no I death. Can I watch movies? Can I play video games? Can I do other things? Technically, there's nothing wrong with it. Unless it's immorality or whatever, but in general, there's probably nothing wrong with it. You're just killing your mind. Yeah, so for a non-Jew, I would say you want to, the whole point is you want to be close to God. So what are you doing? You're killing your mind. You're sitting on your brains. That's what you're doing, essentially. Right? We'll keep this clean. You're vegging. Can't non-Jews veg? We're not Jews. We're not Jew wannabes. Okay. So let me ask you. So playing these stupid video games and watching these movies to draw you closer to God or not? Probably not. My guess is it's probably not driving you further away. So why are you doing it? But I can. What's the problem? What's the problem? It's not forbidden. Right? You're telling me it's a moral imperative. Okay, so if it's not a problem with immorality or other things, so what's the problem? You're wasting time. You're wasting time when you can draw closer. Everything you do, can draw close. You don't want to. Okay, that's your choice. But if you're going to be the best non-Jew, be the best non-Jew you can be. Don't, get rid of this nonsense. Focus on what you need to focus on. Work on ethics, work on character traits, work on learning more, gaining more knowledge. There's a lot to learn. I'm not saying you have to learn all day. Certainly not. But what are we here for? What is our purpose in life? Comes on the Ramchal. The Ramchal says we're here to toil, to struggle, to live in this world, to get as close to God as possible. God wants you to enjoy this world. You have to know how. It's a good thing. He gave you a book, manufactured by himself, passed it down to Moses, gave it to us. So you have to know how to tap in. You have to know how not to get distracted. Isn't this world the whole thing of distraction? Sure. The whole world of distraction. So how do I fight it? You got to work hard. How do I not get in a rut? I hang out with the wrong people. I hear terrible things. At work, people speak question hour, people curse, people this, the way they dress, all these things. You're right. It's all hard. So pick up your pants if you're wearing pants. Don't be a wuss. Don't sit there and complain and say, oh, it's so hard. It is hard. Life is hard. 100%. In so many different ways. So God says, you're right. I made it hard for you. Or you made it hard for yourself. Now what? You're going to be a wuss and kill over? You just say, I'm going to veg my mind, and veg my whole body the rest of my life and just do things I want to do, not what I should do. It's going to affect. Either you're going up or you're going down spiritually, Jew or non-Jew. Doesn't matter. And the more negative things we do, the harder it is to fight. Yeah, but the things we're fighting against are fun. We're not saying they're necessarily forbidden. Maybe even for a Jew, what's the biggest problem? Either from playing video games or, watching movies or whatever. What's the biggest problem? It's a waste of time. I'm not talking about immorality or other things. It's a waste of time. Oh, I can watch something educational. Yeah, you could. Okay. I took a survey. How many people watch the History Channel? Not too many. People still watching Doctor Who. I don't know if he's still alive. Whatever. Are people doing that? No. They're just filling their brains with garbage. That's what they're doing. Person wants to do that. Are they allowed to? Yeah. And for a non-Jew, it's a moral imperative. I'd say, no, it's not a good thing. But people do it. People do it all the time. They get caught up in all these things. So, is it good for them or not good for them spiritually? So what would I say? It's bad. If it's bad for spiritually speaking, you shouldn't do it. You're not going to fry it out forever. It's not death penalty. 100%. So, but it's not good for me. That's the point. It's not good for me. So if it's not good for me, why am I doing it? What's the answer? It's the evil inclination. And it's fun. You're not telling you to do things that aren't fun. Yeah, so when the Yitzhar tries to tempt you to sin, but you say no, but you were thinking about the sin. So it doesn't matter what you think in general. You've got to control what we think. But even if you thought about the sin, you didn't do it, So yeah, there are higher levels to reach. But the fact that you didn't do it, go have a piece of cake. Go have a piece of chocolate, something. You didn't do it. You overcame that evil inclination. Oh, but now Kaufman's going to say there are higher levels. What's the higher level? Higher level is not even to think the thought in the first place. They're going to say, well, I failed that. Okay. There are levels to strive at, but that's a good thing. Right? That's a good thing over here. The fact that you didn't do it, you get judged in a very serious, positive way. That's huge. Could you have reached a high level by not even thinking about the sin? Yes. Is God going to zap you for that? No. Right? But in such a case, you get an 80, 85%. You're not going to get 100%. Yeah, but imagine if you didn't even think about the sin itself, then you get 100%. But you're not going to fry it out. You're not going to judge in a negative way necessarily. You get a lot of positive reinforcement here. Okay, you didn't do it 100% the way you could have done it. That's fine, but you're going to get a good mark here. You're definitely going to get a good mark over here. Someone asked, when the concept of Elijah returning to announce the Messiah comes in Tanakh. Comes in Tanakh. I just mentioned this last week. It's mentioned in where is it? Ezekiel or Jeremiah? Oh, 1 second. I just did this last night. See how easy we forget. 1 second. Let me bring this up here. Oops. Let's see. I remember it so well. 1 second. I think it actually might be Isaiah here. 1 second. Where is that? Yeah. Speaking about the Messiah coming. So where is it? Let's see, 1 second. This is one of his brothers. Prophet Malachi, that's where it is. That Elijah is going to return before the coming of the Messiah. That is Malachi chapter 3. Chapter 3, verses 23, 24. Right? So the prophet Malachi says that before the Messiah come, one of the things going to happen is Elijah's prophet is going to come back. Right? He's going to come back and he's going to announce the coming of the Messiah. It's one of the things he's going to do. Now, someone asked me before, what form? What form does he come in? That's a good question. My assumption is he comes in the same form as he left, in human form. That is my that is my assumption here. And then the Messiah is going to come, rebuild the temple. Some point between the coming of Elijah and the reestablishment of the Sanhedrin. It's going to be the establishment of the Sanhedrin. And then formal smicha rabbinic ordination is going to be restored. That's going to be restored. So somewhere in between when the Messiah comes, when Elijah comes and the Messiah is in the building of the temple. Yeah, the question is, when is the restoration of the Sanhedrin and smicha going to come? Going to be somewhere in between. So again, that is, let me just repeat that. That, for Elijah the prophet, that is Malachi or Malachi chapter 3, verses 23, 24. Yeah, someone asked, Noahide was in the process of converting, study Noahide was or focused on converting. So anyone who comes out of Christianity, de facto, they are going to be considered a Noahide. Right? They're going to be considered a Noahide. So Noahide laws you should know, but if you're in the process of conversion and you're committed, the person is committed to conversion, then they should learn what applies for conversion. Now, there's going to be an overlap. There will be an overlap, and the Noahide laws are also things you have to know for conversion also, right? Belief in one God, and what it means to set up, a lot of course you don't really have to know about, but not murder and not commit immorality and different things. That's going to differentiate between a Jew and a non-Jew, right? Exactly, what those things are. But in general, if someone is committed, let's make clear, they are committed. They're not wishy-washy. They're not flip-flopping over here. They're going to convert. They're not going to convert. This, that. If they're not sure about converting, then for sure you should look into the Noahide laws. But if a person 100% is committed to conversion, then they should start learning whatever they need to for conversion. Someone says very good. Comes to learning Mussar, right? You don't just read it. You got to think about it. Think about how it applies. Think about how you're going to change, what you want to change. You got to live it, right? Right? It's a much harder thing to do. Yeah. Someone asks, no compulsion to convert, but a person's liable if he can't convert and doesn't? Yes. How does God know that? Because he knows the thoughts of men. In other words, let's say a person was about to convert and just something happened. I don't know. Something happened. They're accepted by a rabbinical court. The rabbinical court's ready to convert them. They're all ready to convert and something happens. Now, technically, you could say they're not supposed to convert. If we're not looking for converts, then why is God going to punish them? Because he will. Right? It's a hard thing to fathom. Over here. If you don't have an obligation to convert, why should you be punished if you don't? Because God sees through the heart of a person. That they really wanted to convert, but something set them aside. Something that set them aside that should not have stopped them. Let's say better. That should never have stopped them from conversion. And they really should have converted. So why didn't they? I don't know. It could be any number of reasons, but for that, they could be liable. Right? Who's going to judge that? God's going to judge it. Because God knows the thoughts of men. So you're right. We don't need converts. We're not looking for converts. Right? No one's obligated to convert. That's true. But if he saw that you could have and you didn't, and for you were supposed to convert, yeah. So that's a different issue. That's a different issue. Someone asked, the pilot light on a gas stove is always burning. Are you able to use it during Shabbos? No. Right? It's if you turn on, that's the whole question. If you turn on the stove and the pilot light is lit, right? Is that considered like the stove is already lit? Now I'm just turning it. I'm just turning it on, right? So the problem is, there's going to be a problem over here, right? The problem is, what if I have a pilot light? Yeah. So the question is the pilot light itself, is that considered like if I turn on the oven, pilot light's on, is that good or not? So for Yom Tov, right, for a festival might be different. Right? Festival might be different. Right? In other words, for festival, if I already have a light on, I already have a fire on, I can light from it. Right? I could increase it, light a new fire from it, right? Because you're allowed to cook. Right? So that would be even by just turning on the gas. Right? That would be okay on a festival. Right? Or just extending an already burning pilot light. That would be okay. Right? Using a lighter or an igniter, that would be a problem. Right? That would be that'd be a problem. But a pilot light, so you're not allowed. So on Shabbos would be a problem. Festival would be okay. On Shabbos it would be more of a problem because there you're not allowed to light from a fire. You're not allowed to light from a fire to a fire. On a festival that's different because you're allowed to cook. On Shabbos you're not allowed to cook, so that would be forbidden. So you're not allowed to light a flame from another flame on Shabbos in general. Totally forbidden. On a festival it's different. Why? I'm allowed to cook. So I'm allowed to use a pre-existing flame and turn on another flame, let's say, because I'm allowed to cook. Shabbos, I'm not allowed to cook. Right? Shabbos would be forbidden. On the festival, would be okay. Isn't Tehillim like studying Torah? Yep. Tehillim's also good. Saying Psalms is also good. Yeah, not the same. I wouldn't say it's the same as learning. Not the same as learning, right? It definitely has power, but it's not. It's not the same as learning. Yeah, a lot of other questions here. Let me deal with them. 1 second. Is it for no eyes to read fantasy books like The Lord of the Rings? Is it heresy? I wouldn't say it's heresy per se. Sorcery is forbidden even for non-Jews. Non-Jews not necessarily aware, but sorcery is forbidden. And even if sorcery is forbidden, this isn't really sorcery, right? Read Harry Potter, let's say. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, any of these things, right? Since you don't have the obligation to be learning all the time, so reading these things, at best you can tell me maybe it's just a waste of time. Yeah, but if you don't have that issue and it's fantasy, is it heresy to read about witchcraft for non-Jews? I don't know. I don't know if it's forbidden. Witchcraft might be forbidden in general. Sorcery might be forbidden, for non-Jews in general. Reading books about fantasy, I don't think so. If it's a book, let's say, about witchcraft in general, how to do things, yeah, that might be a problem. That might be a problem under the category of sorcery or witchcraft. But reading fantasy books, at very least, it's just a waste of time. It doesn't make you a heretic. For a Jew, it might be a different issue because, if it could have been learning, what's he doing wasting his time reading that? Reading fantasy things. Let him read, history about great rabbis or, Jewish history in general, instead of that. Is the word Godfather a heretical word? No. Why should it be, the circumcision, the one that holds the baby, they call him the Godfather. They call him the Sandik, right? I don't know why they translate it as Godfather. But, in the secular world, they translate it like that because, it's someone they want to give the honor to. So it's someone who's like, quote unquote, in place of the father. But that's a big misnomer. That's not what the Sandik is. It's like placing the baby on an altar. That's why you want to use someone who's very righteous, right? At least, keep Shabbos. Yeah. So Godfather's not a heretical word. It's not a heretical word per se. I think people use it as a translation of the one that holds the baby, at a bris, at a circumcision, but it's a bad translation. It's definitely a mistranslation. It's not really what it means, but it's not a heretical word. I wouldn't say it's a heretical word. Isn't it Bittul Torah to dance at Meron? No. Why is it Bittul Torah? Why is it a waste of time? They say that the fire represents Torah. So if they're singing and dancing on Lag BaOmer and then, by Reb Shimon or Shimon Bar Yochai, that brought, in the last day of his life, brought the Zohar to the world, so to speak, and they want to rejoice, they want to rejoice in that. Why is it a waste of time? Some people say if you've never experienced it, 500,000 people, now it's a lot less because of what happened a couple of years ago. If you've never seen 500,000 people there singing and dancing and being close to God, why is that a bad thing? It's not a waste of time. I don't think it's a waste of time. I mean, some people, if you're, a lot of Sephardic people go up there, Hasidim go up there. You won't see, like Lithuanian Jews, Litvaks, what we call them, yeshivish people. You don't necessarily see them up there. But there are people that go up there. They go up there just, for the fun or whatever, seeing so many people. But, that's not what the point is. The point is not just to see a lot of people there. The point is, I've heard people say, and, maybe one day I'll do it. But I've heard people say that, they go up there for that. It's an unbelievable experience. When you see that many people and their whole purpose is just to, draw close to God and sing and dance, there's nothing wrong with it. Other people may have an issue with it because, it's a little bit of a strange thing, done on this day that you're commemorating the day that the student of Rabbi Akiva stopped died, even though, Rabbi Shimon died on this day and, brought the Zohar, to the world. It's a huge thing. I'm not going to say it's a small thing. It's not a small thing. It's not a small thing. I think a lot, there are a lot of people not into it or whatever. Would they say it's a waste of time when they could be learning? Because, you have to understand, people are up all night, and then they pray when the sun comes up and they're exhausted. True. Then the whole day they're shot. Yeah. So, some people would say it's not a good thing. Other people would say no. Other people say the whole point is that see all types of Jews there, singing and dancing and trying to be close to God. I don't, I've heard unbelievable things, unbelievable stories people have had. about it. So other people say no. Other people agree with you. It's probably, they'll say it's a waste of time when they could have been learning, maybe. Maybe. But, at the same time, I've heard just the opposite. I've heard just the opposite, that it's an unbelievable experience to see. But, some people may be claustrophobic. You have so many people in, such a small area and whatever. Forget about the danger of it. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about about the spiritual aspect. And, like I said, I've heard people talk about it like it's like the most unbelievable experience, one of the most unbelievable spiritual experiences they had. I haven't experienced it, so I can't say, but I can imagine. But other people would say there are better things to do than, sing and dance all night and whatever. I've heard that also. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wants Jews to learn Torah instead of dancing in Meron. Can't ask him, he's not around. Yeah, but I always joke you should either go before Lag BaOmer or after Lag BaOmer, because Rabbi Shimon probably disappears. So many people come, right? He probably disappears, right? Like someone once told me, he said, if you're Rabbi Shimon and 500,000 people there, wouldn't you leave? When you want people, learning Torah, listen, if this draws people close to God, what's wrong with it? You're gonna say learning Torah is the greatest thing ever, right? Right? That's also true. Yeah. But if a person has such an uplifting experience, it's gonna help them learn Torah because they're gone. What's wrong with it? Some people say, well, they shouldn't be doing it, they should be learning Torah. Okay, the 1 day a year. 1 day a year, if that gives them enough strength for days, weeks after that, why not? I don't have an issue with it. I don't have any, I'm not into it, but I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Someone points out the book of our heritage, Kito, 3-volume sets. Very good. Yeah. Right. Speaks soup to nuts all about the holidays and different things that that we do and the customs that we do in wine. Someone asks, didn't call each other Lord, what they do in England. What does Lord really mean? It just means master. They're not thinking about God. It's not taking God's name in vain. It's kind of silly, I think, different ways. How they look at each other and whatever, but it's not blasphemous. Definitely not blasphemous. The fact that it's we say the Lord our God, right? Lord being master. They're not using it for God here. And if they would, and they say, well, we're Lord and he's not, whatever, okay, yeah, that'd be a problem. But they're not using it for that. Definitely not, using it for that. In Germany, they call each other lords. Her to men, is that a sin for Noahides? No. You have to call my boss with Lord. It's not a sin. It's just like saying my master. I don't know why people say it. I don't know why there's it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything in a negative way. Yeah, it's definitely not blasphemous. Where does it say that Gogomogo lasts for 8 minutes? It's an oral tradition brought down from the students of the Vilna Gaon, of Elijah Vilna, more than 250 years ago, that they said in his name that the Vilna Gaon, once said, if there's going to be a war, Gogomogo, it's going to take 12 minutes. Yeah, it's written down. Does he have a source? There's no source. There's no source, but his students have claimed that's what the Vilna Gaon said. So they say in his name that the Vilna Gaon said if it's going to be a war, it's going to take 12 minutes. Yeah. What did he base the source on? He didn't say. Vilna Gaon didn't say what the source was. But his students say in his name, that's what he said. Is there a syllabus for Noahides? Listen, there are 7 Noahide laws. And there are offshoots of these Noahide laws. So I just gave 60 classes in what's considered part of the laws and setting up law courts and morality, how the holidays work, what can they do, what they can't do. So it's not really a syllabus. It's a question of what the laws are, what they represent, and what they're obligated to do. So you can go to nohidenations.com, sign up for free. All those classes are there. It's not a specific syllabus, it just goes according to the laws and the offshoots of those laws. We're just finishing up. We're just finishing up now doing what do you call it? Series on belief. We spoke about God, we spoke about man, purpose of man, the soul, the afterlife, spoke about dreams, spoke about Mashiach, spoke about that the last 2 weeks. And next week, I'm going to speak about prophecy and inspiration, and then the supernatural. That's it. We got 2 more classes. And then we're going to start duties of the heart. I think that's the plan. But there are about 60 classes over there going soup to nuts through Noahide laws. Yeah, so it's not really a syllabus. Can't say it's a syllabus, but it's going through the laws and what's applicable and what's behind all the laws and what are offshoots of these laws. So about, like I said, 65 to 70 within all these laws. 7 are just an umbrella. Yeah, let me see the other questions here. Was Jonah a convert? No, Jonah was a prophet, actually. I don't think he was a convert. Job, there's no question if he even existed. One opinion is Job didn't exist at all. Other opinions are that Job was a non-Jew, was not a Jew. So if he didn't exist, why do we have the book of Job as a parable for suffering? And we have a whole book about suffering in the name of the book of Job. Someone asked, can I recommend a good book or video to learn Hebrew? Yeah. Send me a text. I will. I do have it online. 1 second. If you and your spouse are one soul, it's a lashon hara if you tell them all the things bad or good. Think about it. Non-Jews don't have an obligation on lashon hara. Only applies to Jews. Someone points out wrongly, I'm just going to tell you, that just because it's your spouse doesn't mean you're allowed to say whatever you want. You can't say your boss is a jerk. You can't say this person did this to you. Lashon hara applies even to your wife. Even if we say ishto gegufo, your husband's like your spouse, your wife is like you, who says you're allowed to speak lashon hara? So what if you're all one entity? Who cares? Doesn't matter if you're married. Who says I'm a right? Who says I have the right to speak badly against anybody in front of my wife? Right? This is like in the first chapter of the laws of lashon hara. Yeah, in the Chofetz Chaim's book on lashon hara. He states clear. A person may think that I can say what I want to my wife. I can tell her how my day went, and I can speak lashon hara and say whatever I want. Comes on, the Chofetz Chaim says, So everybody says, Why not? Lashon hara. Why would that not apply? Just because she's your spouse or he's your spouse doesn't give me the right to say whatever I want. If you're a non-Jew, that doesn't matter because lashon hara doesn't apply. Kaufman would say it's a moral imperative not to speak lashon hara. Certainly not an obligation, because a lot of things in lashon hara don't make sense logically. But just because, so a non-Jew doesn't have this problem anyway, because lashon hara doesn't apply. But if they're Jewish, a husband, or a wife speaks to the husband and says what happened during the day, and they happen to tell you lashon hara, that's forbidden. Why would that not be forbidden? Just because they're your spouse. So lashon hara either way, right? A husband's not allowed to say lashon hara to his wife and vice versa, right? Not allowed to for certain things. If they have to discuss their kids and their kid did a bad thing or whatever, it's okay. So then, you have to discuss certain things. But you're not allowed to outright just say whatever you want because they're your spouse. That doesn't work, right? That's for sure lashon hara. 1 second. Was Malachi alive during the days of Rabbi Akiva? Came before. The prophets came before. The last prophets when they wrote up the Shemot Esrei and the prayers, right? You had who were the last 3? The last 3 were I can't think now. Going blank here. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, not sure. Not sure. 1 second. I got Ezra and Nehemiah. 1 second. Let me see 1 second. The last 3 prophets were Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. They were part of the Anshe Knesset Haggadah. Yeah, that's before Rabbi Akiva. It's before Rabbi Akiva, so they weren't the same time period. Malachi was before. It was before. Someone asked, do we have any writings from rabbis of the Persian or Greek Empire? Yeah, we probably do it. I have to think offhand. Who they are. Yeah, let me think about that. The rabbis agree Latin language is a demonic language. I don't think so. I don't know if we call it demonic. I mean, used it. I think they've definitely used it. I don't think it's demonic though. Rishon Bar Chai opened the doors to Torah to everyone. Yeah, we're talking about Kabbalah here. That's what he's more famous for. Is that he brought the Zohar to the world. Listen, many things that he said also, in the Talmud itself, but that's what he's really known for, or is like we know him today for that. Someone asked, a lot of people in the UK and the US say the name of JC is though blasphemy. I don't think any Jew would do it. If Jew to do it, yeah, I can't blaspheme. First of all, I can't blaspheme in God's name, right? It's one of the 10 commandments, certainly not in any other deity, for that matter. Right, it's a false statement anyway, but even so, right? Even so, to blaspheme in quote unquote any God's name is forbidden. Especially the one true God. That's for sure. Or the Rabbi Akiva arrived during the Roman occupation. Yeah, so the Roman occupation was after the prophets. So when I mentioned Zechariah, Haggai, Malachi, that's what I mentioned. The book of the Maccabees, yeah, can't read it. We don't hold by it. We don't hold by the authorship of it. Saying what we call the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha has no validity. We hold it as no validity. So you can just take that and stick it in the garbage. Someone asked, is there a good book to learn how to read Hebrew? Good question. I'll put up anyone who wants to learn about Hebrew, send me a text. And I'll send you a link, because I know someone that took a course with somebody, said it was very good, but I forget his name offhand and whatever. But you can send me a text on that. Someone asked, how about Tikkun Zohar? How about learning how to make blessings properly? How about learning how to keep Shabbos properly? How about other things? Well, again, anyone who wants to learn Kabbalah, you got to learn a heck of a lot before you start learning Kabbalah. Yeah, it's gonna take a long time to get to Kabbalah. You got a long ways to go. You can't run until you learn how to crawl, right? And you can't take calculus unless you take algebra or trigonometry. Forget about Zohar. Like, totally forget about Zohar. That's not on the plate for now or for later, for that matter. Got a long way to go before that. What should I do with this book? Keep it. I mean, if you have it, leave it. You don't throw it away. But it's not for now, and you got a long time to worry about it. Yeah. Any other questions? Christian something with a baby and call the parents godfathers or something. That's what I meant with godfather. I don't know what they do. I can only tell you what I've heard about someone holding the baby, the son, they call that the godfather. I don't know what Christians do. I'm not really interested. But that's what I'd say on that. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 o'clock Israel time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Coppin, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or you can find me on YouTube, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism. A lot of videos there on Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, Q&As, Torah Portion of the Week, controversial issues. Send me an email, rabbichaimkoffman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wish you have a good beginning of the day, end of the day, or middle of the day, depending where you are.